going to get started. My name's Mickey Fleming. I'm here today to talk about Chemainus Garden Holiday Resort, which is the property we're here on. Len Wansborough is my partner. We've been business partners, I guess, 98, 99-ish, in there somewhere, and we have a bunch of different things that we do. And these different awards that you see around the room, we don't usually bring them with us when we go places, but different people have asked us, well, who are you? Can you do this? And those kinds of things. So we've been in business a long time. Len's family's been in the development business for 2 generations. They have the property in Colwood in the Greater Victoria area where the Lee Valley building is. That's their family property. And I've been around real estate a long time. We're both accountants, we're both CGAs, and my background is management. I've been in public practice for 22 years, although I haven't really done any accounting for at least 3 now, which is absolutely fabulous. So, in November 2006, we entered into a contract for this property and closed on it in January 2010. So, it's coming along. We've still got lots to do here. We've, as I say, almost, you know, that's the true optimist in me, because if you look around, there is a fair amount of work left to do, but we looked at it from where we started in January to where we are now, and we're getting there. So we're very happy with how things are coming along. This property has been cultivated actually since the mid-30s. It was originally part of the hunting grounds for the Sitsumas First Nations band, but in 1886 it became part of the E&N land grant and was actually sold privately at that time. A number of people owned it between 1886 and 1936. But in 1936, that was when the first residences and someone actually settled here. And it was the Chiyoko Yoshida family, that was the gentleman, and it's he and his family that actually built this house. He was a master carpenter. He helped build the Scout Hall, the original Scout Hall in Chemainus. He built a big bathhouse out back, which is no longer here. But he and his family actually did start breaking the land here. It was a tremendous job. As you can see, this was a wedding picture, and the size of the trees in this area was significant, like, you know, a lot of places on the West Coast. Excuse me. So the Yoshida family in 1942 was forcibly removed from the property. They were part of the Japanese internment process that happened here in the West Coast of Canada. It's is what it is. There was repatriation done in 2008 and a lot of apologies. However, Harold Cripps came home from the war and purchased this property in 1947, and he and his wife Jenny actually continued to make it into a homestead. They cleared the land where the pavilion is now. The Yoshida family had started out back down below where Laughing Pond is, but really it was the Cripps family that cleared somewhere around 17, 18 acres on the property for farming. And the his two youngest kids with come-alongs and handsaws and all of that actually chopped down those kind of trees that we saw. So a tremendous amount of work, and they actually did build a farm here, a working farm, and they made a very good home for themselves and their families. So, like the rest of the Cowichan Valley, and very fertile, as we saw in our own garden out here this year, everything went boom. Quite a surprise, but Jenny Cripps was the real gardener, and she did chickens and pigs and cows and cream and butter and veggies and sold them to the local grocery here in town. So this property has actually supplied a lot of the people that lived in Chemainus with foodstuffs over the years, which was really kind of cool. Excuse me. And Lily Greer is the daughter, she's alive, she still lives in Chemainus, she's about 84, I think.
No, excuse me, she's same age as me, 76, we're good friends. Thank you
very much, there you go. So 76, I'll have to remember that. But she actually, her job was separating the cream and getting that into town and making butter. So Lily has been wonderful, a wealth of knowledge, very, very nice lady, and she's going to help put together an album of this property from the time her family was involved with it. So we're very fortunate. We've actually been lucky enough to speak to the Yoshida family as well. They're in Kamloops now, and his oldest son is well into his 80s. He has Parkinson's, but they've been fabulous. They gave us a handwritten narrative of their recollection of living on this land back in the 30s and 40s. So very lucky, and they sent us a bunch of pictures, and they're very eager to share. So once we get all of that together, we're going to have little plaques around the property as to who is doing what and when, and way of recognizing those that have contributed to this place. Because it is a special place. It's been neglected a little bit over the past years, but all in all, it's a lovely piece of property. The land came to the Gilbride family. Mr. Gilbride was the harbor master here in Chemainus, and Doris Gilbride was the lady that actually made this land into a campsite. They purchased the property in the mid-80s, 1986, and she gardened, and she gardened, and she gardened some more, and she invited the gardening club, and they gardened some more. So 6.5 acres of lovely gardens. We're simply uncovering now, like layer upon layer. We found an entire row of rhododendrons down here that we're told are somewhere between 30 and 40 years old. I know, we didn't know they were there. They were just covered with old roses and things. But in any case, it was Doris that made this into a very special property. And it was on the gardening tour on Vancouver Island and became a very popular spot for people who came here that wanted to see those kinds of gardens. She invited Buddhist monks from Tibet, and they came over and they had a ceremony here in the garden right behind me in the wedding pond, and they blessed the ground, they had ceremonies, and really incorporated the whole concept of slow space. So she was working on the idea of slow living back in the 80s, and you know, she was ahead of her time perhaps, but it came together very, very nicely. Unfortunately, Doris passed away, I'm told, and I didn't know this, but I guess she died in one of the flower beds. She actually keeled over a heart attack here on the property, which is sort of fitting in a roundabout way. But her son took over the property in 2001, and really his focuses were elsewhere. We'll just say that in a nice way. So what we found in January 2010, you know, it cost us somewhere around $24,000 simply to get rid of the garbage. These were all like abandoned vehicles. That's a boat. We still have the boat out back. I haven't decided what we're going to do with it yet, but it was, shall I say, a little rough, you know. And I think we spent, like I said, somewhere around $23,000 in dumping fees, and that doesn't count the trucking or the staffing or the burning or any of those things. That's the house we're in now. This is Wedding Pond, which is the pond directly behind me. It's funny, this is, Mystery Pond down below, and this is the pavilion as we found it. Now, it's funny because some people in the community said we were filling in ponds. Well, what we did was we hired people with excavators actually to dig out the ponds. So yeah, we were digging and mucking around in the ponds, but our objective was to make them accessible for people because we want them to be part of the grounds that are used here on the property. So we do have a vision, believe it or not, a grand vision, but we want to see Chemainus Garden be a place where it is like a vacation every day. We want to tie into the local artists and artisan community in Chemainus and the Cowichan Valley. Lots of people here are very, very talented, and over the years they've been advertising the murals. It must be almost 25 years now. I think they had their anniversary. So Chemainus is well known in the arts world thanks to a number of people here in town that have been marketing internationally. And so we really do want to welcome them on the property. We've got a little concrete pad just above the water lily pond where people are welcome to come and paint. There's a place for an easel and those kinds of things there. Excuse me. The veranda, which is the veranda around this house, will serve food probably about a year from now. We'll have a very simple menu, but it's something people have told us they're interested in. And we want to have places for people to gather, such as the swimming pool area with a big fire pit and seating, seating places throughout the park, and very much a people place. The swimming pool, we met with the architect last week, and so we have to get going on that because our commitment is to have it finished with the hot tub by the May long weekend. So tennis courts, and there's lots of wonderful places to walk on the property. So Len and I, once we were involved in this, went to a number of large RV resorts in the US, and that is what we're styling this after, where it includes services, true resort services, as well as places for the RVs within the park. So our goal is actually to become a 5-star resort within 5 years. We are 1 star, we have 1 star at present, but we will continue to add amenities which will be targeted directly towards achieving our stars. So our guests enjoy a carefree lifestyle of RV living, and really it is free from the work of a house. We look after the grounds, we look after the roads, and do our absolute best. It's our intention to do our absolute best to make it totally carefree, very simple. So it's a great location, and I hear that from folks all the time, as people here can attest to. You can walk to town, you can walk to the golf course, walk to the theater, and we're pretty much the only RV resort on the island that I know of that you can do all of those things with. So it makes it pretty special. The pavilion seats 150 people. We, as Len and I lovingly refer to it as the money pit. We started out with a small budget to do the roof and ended up spending just under a couple $100,000 on fixing it. But we can talk about that later. So now it's a great place for a party, and the sweetest part is your guests can bring their own accommodation. So, yeah,
I like that.
Me too. So we had one beam on the pavilion here. This is the front of the pavilion before it was painted and the decking put on, but up here we had a rotten beam, and so we thought, okay, well, I guess we better order a new beam, and I don't know, it was a $1,500 beam, and we get it here, and we get everybody up there, and they try to attach it to something on the building. Well, guess what? Nothing attached to attach it to. Everything was rotten. So we got the engineer out, and he goes, oh, this isn't safe, this building's condemned. So our choice was to tear it right down to the ground, or put a brand new roof on. So we opted to put a brand new roof on, which included trusses. Like, it wasn't just rotten on the surface, we had to put in new trusses. So we redid the bathrooms at the same time. We've got some nice big shower heads there. They're not coin-op. They're there for whoever wants to use them in the park. There's the pavilion when we had 4 walls, and these are the new trusses we put in, and now it's looking good. It's not completely finished, but it's certainly serviceable and usable at this point in time. We did manage to save this mural. It's fairly significant in size. I understand it's about 12 by 44. It is in one of our utility buildings now. It's in really good shape, and so we're looking for a home for it. It doesn't have to be here on the property. I'd like for it to be here on the property, but if there's somewhere we can install it somewhere that it will be preserved, we would like to do that, because it is very pretty. So the farmhouse is what we're in. I'm going to say veranda is going to be simplicity at its best. We do hope to serve the food that we grow here on the property, and then beyond that, stay within a 100-mile circle as best as we can. There are a number of different restaurants in the valley doing just that, and it's going to be a very casual, comfortable place. As I said, coffee's going to be $1. It's a place where we want